Jimi Hendrix, with Eric Burden of the Animals, whose bassist discovered him. On Jimi's first night in London, he got on stage to jam with Cream and upstaged Eric Clapton so badly that a stunned Clapton simply put down his guitar and walked off. Kiss backstage in '74. Their outrageous image was so controversial at the time that their debut album was a total flop, nearly bankrupting their struggling young record label. Their legendary live shows would have to save them from obscurity. The Singer and the Secret Weapon. Backstage in '73, Robert Plant with John Paul Jones. Jones was the quiet genius, the master arranger behind many of Zeppelin's most complex songs. Without him, there would be no Stairway to Heaven. A moment of pure respect. Here, the writer of Blue Suede Shoes, Carl Perkins, signs an autograph for its most famous singer, Elvis Presley. Elvis always deferred to Carl as a true original, a master songwriter and a superior guitarist. Jimi Hendrix, backstage at Woodstock. His iconic version of the Star-Spangled Banner wasn't just a protest. He used his guitar to mimic the sounds of rockets and bombs, creating the definitive, harrowing soundtrack for the Vietnam War. The one and only Captain Trips. If you look closely at his picking hand, you'll see he's missing part of his middle finger from a childhood accident. Jerry always said it was a blessing that forced him to develop his unique signature guitar style. Deep Purple on top of the world in the early '70s. They looked like serious rock gods, but behind the scenes they were legendary pranksters, led by guitarist Ritchie Blackmore, who thought nothing of setting fire to drum kits or booby-trapping hotel rooms. The rock and roll revolutionary becomes a father. The birth of his son, Sean, prompted John Lennon to take a 5-year break from music to become a house husband. It was a period of peace that inspired his beautiful final album, Double Fantasy. London, 1968. 4 young men who would soon conquer the world. On their first tour, they were called the New Yardbirds. The name Led Zeppelin came from Keith Moon, who joked a band like this would go down like a lead balloon. A meeting of 2 champions. Elton John and tennis legend Billie Jean King were dear friends. In fact, Elton wrote his #1 smash hit, Philadelphia Freedom, as a personal tribute to her and her professional tennis team, the Philadelphia Freedoms. The infamous Beggar's Banquet food fight of 1968. This wasn't just chaos, it was a calculated publicity stunt. Furious that their label had censored the album's cover, Mick Jagger himself started the food fight as the ultimate act of defiance. Bob Seger, 1977. After a decade of grinding it out, Live Bullet and Night Moves had finally made him a superstar. This isn't just a rock star on stage, it's a picture of pure, hard-earned victory for one of Detroit's finest. A rare moment of calm for the notoriously explosive supergroup, Cream. The band's name was no accident. Clapton, Bruce, and Baker were already considered the absolute cream of the crop among all British musicians. Their brilliance was matched only by their egos. Bon Scott, the ultimate frontman, in '76. To hone their electrifying live show, the band would play 2 gigs a night in Australia, an early show for the kids and a late show for the adults. This brutal schedule made them unstoppable. Rock and roll's greatest bar band, The Faces. But by '74, the party was ending. Rod Stewart's massive solo success was creating deep resentment within the band, and this legendary lineup would soon crumble under the weight of his stardom. R.E.M. at their absolute peak in 1994. Michael Stipe's shirt is a nod to an underground author he admired. He often used his massive fame to champion lesser-known writers and musicians, a quiet act of integrity from one of rock's true gentlemen. Three masterminds of the Zeppelin empire. Between John Bonham and Jimmy Page sits their legendary manager, Peter Grant. He was the fifth Zeppelin, a ruthless negotiator who single-handedly changed the business of rock, ensuring the bands got paid what they were worth. Talking heads at their home base, CBGB. Surrounded by leather-clad punks, their clean-cut, art school look was revolutionary. They brought a nervous, intellectual energy to the scene, proving that punk could be smart as well as loud. The birth of a rock and roll icon. Stevie Nicks' legendary flowing black outfits weren't just a stylistic choice. She wore them for comfort under the hot stage lights, a practical decision that accidentally created one of the most enduring images in rock. The definitive couple of swinging London. But Marianne Faithfull was more than Mick Jagger's muse. She was an artistic collaborator. She co-wrote Sister Morphine, and her influence helped shape the poetic, world-weary sound of the Stones' greatest albums. A legendary meeting of outlaws. Keith Richards, James Brown, and John Belushi backstage in 1980. Belushi, a massive fan of both, was there filming a TV segment, a comedy icon caught between the godfather of soul and rock's ultimate survivor. They called her the Queen of Rockabilly, and by 58 she was a powerhouse. Few people know it was her old boyfriend, Elvis Presley, who encouraged her to trade her country sound for the raw energy of rock and roll. Steely Dan in 1974. This was the year they made a radical decision. They quit touring for good. Disgusted with life on the road, they became rock's most famous recluses, spending the decade chasing sonic perfection in the studio. A young Ozzy Osbourne in 1970, the year Black Sabbath invented heavy metal. Before this, he was a former slaughterhouse worker who placed a newspaper ad reading, "Ozzy Zig needs gig," a humble start for the future Prince of Darkness.